And you are live.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, everyone. Welcome to the Port Wardens meeting. We're going to call to order the meeting of the Board of Port Wardens today, Tuesday, February 27th, and it's going to be called at 7:03. We'll go ahead and do a roll call. I've said Robert Shapiro. We've got Mr. Jared Lerner, Mr. Siegel, Mr. McCobb, as well as Scott Anderson. So we have a full attendance. We have a quorum. And I also, the staff, thank you very much, Carrie, Brian, Kim, Madeline, for being here with us. Okay, the approval of the agenda. Next item, approval agenda. At this time, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay,
Second.
Scott. All right, seconded by Harold. Thank you very much. Motion seconded. All in favor, please state aye or yes.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, fantastic. Motion passes. Thank you. I'm going to try to do some of this administrative stuff relatively quickly because we've got a full slate in the equation. I do, as you know, once we get the findings of fact, I have to like read it full out, but we've got a couple steps before. All right, next item agenda is the approval of the minutes from the January 23rd, 2024 meeting. I entertain a motion. As well as
minutes.
Okay,
I'll second
Jonathan. Okay, Mr. Anderson, thank you very much. All in favor of accepting the minutes from the last meeting? Aye. Yes.
Aye.
Okay. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, the next thing, we have a couple slightly new ones in administrative, but we'll get to that after we do the findings of fact. So I will try to do this one by one, but I have to read it out in full. So if you guys could, as we go forward, that'd be great. Next item on the agenda is, and this again is the findings of the fact section. So we're just reading the port number, the matter, and then we'll vote on it. Okay. So port 23-000. There's 3 zeros now for 20. For starting in 24, but they had started a bit late 23. So it's port 2023-00021, DD Binder, a 107 spa view, and it was construct 93-foot, give or take, stone reinforced against an existing stone bulkhead. Is there any discussion on that matter? We voted on it at the last meeting. Is there any discussion? Okay. I think, Jared, because you might not have been at the last meeting, if we voted on the last one, I believe you have to abstain. Carrie could help with that, but I believe that's the way it is.
Yeah, is my sound on? Yeah. So, Jared, if you were not at the last meeting, but you watched the last meeting, you could vote on the findings of fact. But if you are not all caught up and not all up to speed, I would suggest refraining from voting.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so again, any discussion on that port 2023-00021? All right, if there's no discussion, I'd like to approve the written findings of fact, but I need a motion. And
I'll make that motion to approve the
Okay.
findings of fact.
All right, Mr. Anderson, thank you. Harold, thank you very much. All in favor of the motion to approve the findings of fact for port 2023-0021, Mrs. Binder, 107 Spa View Avenue, please say aye or yes.
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 Yes. Okay, great. We got all 4. Thank you very much. All right, the next finding of fact is port 2023-00020, David Gage, 697 Glendon Avenue, and it was to remove 6 existing mooring pilings, construct 6 by 75 foot floating and 200 square foot floating platform, 2 bilge lift pilings, and 4 mooring pilings. Is there any discussion on that matter? All right, is there a motion to approve the written findings of fact?
Approve. I make that motion.
All right, Scott, thank you very much. Is there a second?
Second.
Harold, thank you very much. Okay. All those in favor of the fact, let me just reread this. I should have read it before we did the vote, but all those in favor of approve the writings finding fact report 2023-00020, David Gage, Glendon Avenue, please say aye or yes.
Yes.
Okay, yes, thank you very much. Okay, two more of the findings of fact. Next on the agenda is Port 2023-00022, DM Investments LLC, Spa Cove Apartments. It's 1012 Primrose Road, and it was to construct 2 groins, living shoreline, install 6 by 26 floating pier, which includes a 6-foot by 150-foot, 54-foot T-head, as well as fingers and finger piers and gangway, and do some dredging as well. Is there a motion? Oh, any discussion on that? Okay, it doesn't look like there's discussion. If there's a motion to approve the written findings of fact, could I get a motion?
I'll make that
to
motion.
approve, or I'll
All right.
second
I'll
it.
second that.
All right, I'll give it to Scott. He had his hand up first. All right, is there a second? I guess Harold, yes, second. Thank you very much. All right, all those in favor of the motion to approve the written findings of fact for Report 2023-00022, DM Investments LLC, Spa Cove Apartments, -1012 Primrose Road, please state aye or yes.
Yes.
All right, that was all 4 of the attendees from the last meeting, Scott, myself, Harold, and Jonathan. All right, last finding of fact, Port 2023-00025, Peter Sari, and it's 7046 Bemby Beach Road, and install a 6 by 133-foot floating pier, which includes a 6 by 29.5 floating platform. So 4 boat piles, 1 boat lift, 2 moorings, and 1 PWC lift, as well as a 4 by 30 gangway. Any discussion? Okay, with no discussion, is there a motion to approve the written findings of fact?
Motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
All right, Harold, thank you very much first, and Mr. Anderson is second. All right, all those in favor of the motion to approve the written findings of fact, Port 2023-00025, Peter Sari, 7046 Bemby Beach Road, please state aye or yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, great. Thank you very much. All 4 that were at the last meeting. Ayes, Mr. Anderson, myself, Mr. Siegel, and Mr. Riccott. Thank you very much. All right. Next item of agenda we typically have every single year. I believe every single port warden has received, and I believe I saw emails where we sort of verbally or so within the email responded to the I believe Kim with that it looks good to us, but the approval for the 2023 Port Wardens report. I need a motion and a second, unless you have any discussion of it.
Motion to approve.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Siegel. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, thank you very much, Jonathan. All right, all those in favor, please say aye or yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much, all 5 port wardens. All right, yes. All right, the next item agenda is the chair position election. I'm certainly willing to do it, but I also want to share the opportunity if anyone else were so interested. Please.
Mr. Shapiro, I'd like to make a move to elect you as a second term.
And I'll second that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any discussion? Like I should discuss with myself, maybe not. But all right. With no discussion, there's a motion and a second on the table already. All those in favor, please state aye or yes.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Anderson, Mr. Siegel, Mr. Riccott, Mr. Lerner. I would vote, but that's weird to vote for yourself. All right. So we have no old business, and now let's get to.
If I can just jump in really quick, you also have to nominate and elect a vice chair.
Oh, okay. But because as the chair, I can't. Can I do a nominate? Or I know I can't do a motion, but
You
Pretty
can,
good.
yeah, you can't do the motion, but you can put forth someone's name as a nominee.
okay. We need one. Scott's been on for quite a while. Any interest, Scott?
No, absolutely. I haven't really had a chance to do it yet and assume that role.
Okay.
So I'd like to do another year.
Okay, all right. I think that would be interesting. Any discussion? Anybody else want to throw their hat in the ring or?
I mean, I'm
Okay,
happy to share the love.
okay. I believe I can't do the motion portion, so it has to be one of the others, and we'll get a motion in a second. And
Motion to nominate Scott for vice
all right,
chair.
thank you very much, Mr.
Thank
McCobb.
you.
Can we get a second?
Second.
Okay, fantastic. All right, all those in favor, please, for Mr. Anderson to be the vice chair. Please state aye or yes. Aye or yes. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you very much. All right. New business. Carrie, do I have any other obligation related to administrative? I know we rarely have anything more than just those top two.
No, I think you're good to go. There's nothing else on the agenda, so you can jump right into the new
Fantastic.
business.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. New business. All right. The next item or the agenda, the first of the new business is Port 2024-0001. And it's McCleary Maritime Properties, LLC, 301 4th Street. And it's to install a 10-foot long by 6-foot wide PWC lift with 2 piles. I'm going to wait for Madeline to bring in all parties related to the issue. And once we have, so Mr.
Marsh, M-A-R-S-H.
Marsh, okay. Are you the only one? And I guess we've got Daytok Witten. I'm sorry if I didn't get the name right. I know it's a company name. Are you, is there a person behind the Daytok group or do you need to be sworn in?
As far as I know, I'm the only one here. They're representing the,
Okay, so you'll be the only one testifying.
yes.
Stand by. This is Barb Whitten. I'm the chair of the Annapolis Dragon Boat Club, and I'm here with Randy Bradley, who's on the operations committee, who's familiar with the project. And
Okay.
hello, Michael.
Okay, will you be testifying this evening? Or will Mr. Marsh be handling?
Mr. Marsh will be.
Okay, great. Okay, well, let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and swear you in if you can raise your right hand. All right, you do solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give the Port Wardens is the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. If you can, your name obviously appears
Sure.
on Zoom, so asking someone to spell their name, I don't think we have to do now. But are you a consultant on the project or are you?
Yes, sir. We filed for both the state and the city permits. My name is Mike Marsh, M-A-R-S-H.
Okay.
I'm with Boat Lifts Unlimited, the Magnum boat lift manufacturer in Odenton, Maryland. We're proposing to install 2 pilings along the finger pier to install a 6x10 boat lift, and that's going to occur a maximum of 32 feet channelward to meet high water. Our signs were posted on the 14th of February. One was down at the bulkhead and one along 4th Street. Okay. And then, the letters for the surrounding neighbors were also mailed out on the 14th of that month. We have obtained a permit from the MDE, the Maryland Department of Environment, permit number 23-PR0587. We're asking the Port Wardens for permission to install those 2 poles so that we can put the boat lift in, obviously to raise these rowboats that the Dragon Boat Club has that they use on a regular basis.
Okay. All right. Any Port Wardens, do you have any questions?
I'm trying to find out exactly where is it. I'm trying to look on your aerial image or on the other items here. Where exactly is the lift being placed?
Okay, if you walk out on the main floating dock, it would be placed at 22 and 32 feet from the bulkhead on the left-hand side walking out.
Page
Well,
6 of the document.
It's page 6 of the application, Harold. Proposed layout is the title of that page. I'm just
Okay.
out of, as far as like deliberation and considerations, it is well within the setback. It looks about it. Of course, the city had approved it as well. It doesn't look like it's going to be an obstruction in any way for navigation
Okay.
purposes. It's pretty clean scenario. And of course, the Dragon Boat has, we're not talking about some excessive beam or anything like that. It's going to be well within the confines of the lift, or at least it appears to be. So it looks about as clean as can be, as far as any of the particular titles, that we have to work with within 15. Do any other port wardens have questions of Mr. Marsh? Okay. I skipped over this one step where, as a preliminary matter, the board will accept the record application packet and the staff report of planning and zoning, and any public comments. I need to slow down. I just want to confirm with Mr. Adams, if there's any public comments so far.
No, we didn't receive any public comments. Nope.
Okay, great. And again, I should have done that prior to the consultant, but we have been through the questions. Again, I stated that it clearly looks like everything is well within Title 15. So there's no issue as far as I can see. I could read them, but of all the titles, you're well within the specs. So I don't think I have to indicate one or in particular, but Carrie probably wants me to at some point. So after all the questions are asked, I declare it seems like they're all asked by port wardens. I declare the public hearing for Port 2024-0001 closed. Again, they like me to put some titles specifically, but obviously 15, 16, 20, it renders, there's nothing too close to a confined space. It's being undertaken in a manner that's structurally sound, and there's no issues with its setback or harbor line. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve or deny the application for Port 2024-0001 McCleary Maritime Properties LLC, 301 4th Street. Can I get a motion?
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, so Mr. McCott made the motion and Mr. Anderson seconded it. Thank you very much. All right, all those in favor of the motion to approve Port 2024-01 McClary's Maritime Property? Aye. Aye. Okay, that was unanimous. Thank you very much. Let's go to the next one, Mr. Marsh. Thank you guys, and Dragon Boat people, thank you. All right, have a good evening. All right, so next we have next item is Port 2023. It is 2023 because it was left over from, it was applied last year, but Port 2023-00024, and Mr. John Galliani of 24 Chesapeake Landing, and they want to install 8 boat lifts with 8 boat lift piles and 2 boat lifts. I guess, Madeline, if you can bring in all people that are going to be testifying on this, that'd be great. I do need to see your camera because we are going to swear you in if you're going to be testifying. All right. All right. So who is testifying? Mrs. Norris and Mr. Galliani? Can you?
Yes, I am.
Muted. Okay, great. And Mr. Galliani, you're muted. Are you going to be testifying or not?
I'm sorry, technical difficulties. Yes, if need be.
Okay, all right, well then let's go ahead and
I hang on, I'm sorry. I'm also getting a hand raised from the Keene
Yes.
family.
Keen should be there as well. Yep.
Okay, then I am promoting them now.
okay, great.
One item I have to let you know, I do have a boat at that same marina, but I have no problem in helping adjudicate this case.
Okay. All right. All right, Mr. Keene, I don't know how if you heard you're on here, which is great. So I'm going to go ahead and swear all people who might testify in at this point. If you could raise your hand. You do solemnly swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give to the Port Wardens is the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Yes.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. As a preliminary matter, the board will accept into the record the application, the staff report from planning and zoning, and any public comments. I want to just check with Mr. Adams, see if we have any other public comments or existing public comments that we haven't received.
No, we just received written testimony from Mr. Keene, who is here tonight for live testimony.
Okay. What is, just because we did it at the last meeting, what is the deadline? It's noon of the day prior?
Yes, sure. Yep.
Okay. And what time did this come in?
Oh, this came in January.
Okay, great. Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. Just would check. All right. So thank you. Let's go and if we can, who will be presenting the initial with the applicant's consultant? Who is that, Mrs. Norris?
I am, yes.
Okay, all right. If you can give a little background, just a quick.
Okay, absolutely.
You
yes.
and your qualifications, and we'll go forward.
Okay, so I'm Renee Norris, owner of RKN Marine Permits and Services, and I am representing John and Nancy Galliani. They reside at 24 Chesapeake Landing. I submitted the building permit applications to the City of Annapolis and MDE, and Waterfront Engineering, Design, and Construction provided the site plans. Chris Snyder confirmed with Brian Adams that the lateral lines were accepted prior to submitting the applications. The certified letters were mailed on January 31st. The signs were posted on January 10th and updated with the new hearing date on February 1st of 2024. We received a letter of no objection from Ms. Swartz, the trustee who resides at 22 Chesapeake Landing. And we also have the MDE license number 23 PR 1121 was issued February 15th, 2024. And the proposed construction is to install 8 lift piles and 2 boat lifts. And I think in the context of this application, I'd like to give just a little bit of background. In 1979, Jerome Parks developed the Chesapeake Landing neighborhood along with the Annapolis, Maryland Capital Yacht Club Marina. He built Unit 24, the Galliani's residence, for himself, and with that deeded Unit 24 CLA boat slip via a legal easement recorded in the deed. Both previous owners, the Parks and the Stewarts, used that easement to dock large boats. The Gallianis purchased this property about a year ago. And in that deed, it states that the property owner has been granted an easement to exclusively utilize that area for any and all purposes allowed by law, and the grantee may make such improvements to the easement area so long as such improvements do not affect the structural integrity of the bulkheads. So prior to submitting the application, Mr. Galliani got a letter from Mr. Lawrence Stern, attorney at law, confirming that in his opinion, the term improvements in this deed does include installing boat lifts. And then I reached out to Brian Adams, who confirmed with the City of Annapolis Office of Law. They agree with the same interpretation of the deed. So to confirm, the proposed construction is to the proposed 8 lift piles and 2 boat lifts will not affect the structural integrity of the bulkhead. The boat lift piles will be installed next to the existing pier, not the bulkhead. So
Okay.
there we go.
All right. Port wardens, what questions? I'm gonna open it up. Do we have any other testimony, Mr. Galliani, at this point? We probably need to ask questions before we get into public comments.
No, that's not, thank you.
Okay. Port wardens, what questions do you have?
I have one question. The boat lift, will the boat on the lift, how far, and will it interfere at all with that narrow fairway coming in and out of the marina there?
The narrow.
The fairway there is pretty narrow.
No, the
How
boat
far
lift that
in?
is the channel word boat lift is
Yeah.
actually will be installed in line with the boat lifts that boat lift that's in the marina. It'll be installed right next to it, so in line.
So if we're looking at page, I don't see a page number, I'm sorry.
At
let
the
me look at
bottom,
the-
they're listed sheets, like 7. At the very
Oh.
bottom. Is it sheet 7 out of 9 or?
It's the one that has the red piling dots for the indication of where the
Yes.
boat lift will be.
Okay, yes.
Sorry, I don't see the 7 on there, but.
At the bottom, that's sheet 8 of 9. All the way at the bottom.
Oh, I see it now. Okay,
Okay,
November
yes.
6th, 2023. Okay, how is the aft vessel? Is there a way of, I didn't look at the depth and I should have, but is there a way to get, how is a boat going to pass a boat on a lift?
Do you want me to answer that, Renee?
I-
Yeah, so they're face each other with a gap in the middle, so they're entering from opposite directions.
So you have depth to go out this sort of the back. I'm looking at Google Earth as well as, of course, your application. So there's enough depth to go to the back side of that seawall.
For a small number.
Okay, I was just curious. I didn't know how you navigate
Yes.
underneath another.
And the sheet 4 of 9 actually shows the water depths
Okay,
there as well. So it
Okay.
shows it's about 5 feet.
gotcha. Okay. All right. Port wardens. Any questions? Jonathan?
I don't have a lot of questions. I'll ask, is this area used for navigation in any way for boats passing through this very narrow piece of water between the existing pier and that timber bulkhead?
No, this area is an easement has been granted through the deed for the owners of 24 Chesapeake Landing. So prior to Mr. Galliani, the other 2 previous owners docked very large boats there, which of course then prevented anyone from going through.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. Jared?
No questions.
Okay. Scott? Mr. Anderson?
No.
Okay. Harold, any more questions?
No, I'm very familiar with the with the space there.
Okay. All right. I guess let's go ahead, Mr. Keynes. I guess you're the only other. I guess it's a public comment and/or the neighborhood.
Great, thank you. Can you hear me, Mr. Shabiro?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Hey, first, it's just a point of order. You had it listed as 00024, and the documents I had is 00018.
That's the maritime permit number is 2023-00018 is the
Okay.
building permit.
Okay, thank you.
Well, the port wardens one is what we should be
Okay.
working with. That's what I was sent as the port. No.
Okay, I just want to make sure we were clear. Hey, thank you for the opportunity to just talk this through just a little bit.
I'm the resident of 26 Chesapeake Landing, which is adjacent to 24. So I'm one street closer, one unit closer to First Street than the property owners.
Okay.
The boat reference to the predecessors was a 35-foot picnic boat docked at the dock. So, and it was there for many years. So just better understanding. We've been residents there for 23 years. We have submitted a letter of opposition, which hopefully Mr. Brian Adams will distribute to you guys for reference. I have only one other additional point to make, and Mr. Shapiro, it kind of falls in line to what you talked about. The easement runs, I believe, from the property line out through the channel, but the second boat lift, the boats are actually going to have to back out of an area that's not controlled under the easement, I believe. And because the bulkhead on the causeway runs pretty deep back to it, anybody departing or approaching that lift is probably going to have to come through our property line to get there. So it's just another reason to object. My other objections are noted in the letter, so I'll defer to that. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay. And you said there was a vessel there for years prior.
Yes, sir. It was in-water boat. It was a 35-foot picnic boat owned by the Stewarts.
Okay.
We didn't move into our residence until after Mr. Parks had already sold to the Stewarts.
All right. And the beam picnic boats roughly probably what, 10, 11, 12?
I would say it's in the 8 to 10 foot beam range.
No, it's bigger. It can't be roadworthy. It's definitely 10 to 12.
Right, 10 to 12.
But there was never a natural waterway or pathway through there because a boat would have been docked there. I mean, but for a kayak, maybe.
Correct. But the boat
Okay.
briefly filled the channel while it was there, and in most of the winter times they had it put on the hard.
Okay. All right. All right. Any more questions at all from any of the port wardens?
So a quick question: was there any ability for you to have a dock in front of your property that would block that slip?
I believe that is, there are no other boat slips between 24 and First Street. And it's a bulkhead that's kind of slanted, and the property between my porch and it's about 6 feet is common area. So docks could be put in there, but it would probably have to be put in by the Chesapeake Landing Board of Directors. Does that make sense?
Yes. So you're not objecting to it because of your potential ability to put a boat in front of your property?
I'm not.
Okay.
That's not why I'm making my objection.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. All questions have been asked, and I declare the public hearing for Port 2023-00024 closed. We did, in fact, Mr. Adams brought it to the city attorney because they wanted to look closely at the documentation between Mr. Parks and all that was involved with the deed, and the city did in fact find that it was completely valid, and it that's why the city, I mean, made sure they didn't approve it. Of course, it gets approved before it comes to us, but approve it before the city sort of verified that the deed in fact allowed this. There is, of course, 15 to 18 harbor line setbacks fine. The lateral, of course, because it's way back, but the lateral line setback is also equally fine. That's 15, 18, 100. There doesn't seem to affect city waters navigation, and it doesn't seem to have been used based on the fact that a boat that had a healthy beam within that space for years. And I recall there was, I think, a larger boat there decades prior. So it's not like it's affecting what would be public navigable water either. So at this point, I would entertain a motion to approve or deny Port 2023-00024, Mr. Galliani, 24 Chesapeake Landing. Port Wardens?
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, Mr. Anderson, thank you very much. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, all right. All those in favor of the motion to approve Port 2023, 24 Chesapeake Landing, please state aye or yes.
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 Okay, all right, that's me as well. So all 5 unanimous. Thank you guys very much. Have a good evening. Let's move to the witnesses and consultants. Are still moving on to the next one. Okay, thanks again. All right, next item on the agenda is Port 2023-00026, and it's the Jabins Family Real Estate LLC, 7310 Edgewood Road, and install 972 feet of stone revetment, pre-configure a pier E, which is 74 feet long, 8 feet wide, floating pier that includes 321 feet by 8 feet wide, a T-head, and 9. This goes on for a long while. It's in the documentation. I don't believe I need to read the scale and scope, but it's effectively a floating dock replacement of what is things. All you Port Wardens have it, and it's public record. So I think Madeline probably has brought everyone. Is anyone else, Madeline, in the background with a hand raised or anything?
Nope.
Okay. All right.
You should also have, Madeline, you should also have Frank Biba. He wanted to provide testimony on this.
Yes, you were right. Okay, I just sent him that prompt. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Anyone testifying in this matter? Again, there's 4 within it: Mr. Jabin, Mr. Roddy Jabin Jr., Chris Snyder, and Mr. Biba. Please raise your hand, and we're going to get sworn in. You do solemnly swear and affirm under penalty or perjury that the testimony you're about to give the Port Wardens is the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to, as a preliminary matter, the board will accept into record the application packet and the staff report from Planning and Zoning and any public comments. I want to confirm with Mr. Adams the existence of any public comments that we may not have received yet.
Mr. Biba sent comments, but that was past the deadline today, so he is here to provide live testimony.
Okay, all right, thank you. I really do want to stick with enforcing that deadline, but again, if he's live, that's fine as well. All right, let's start off with probably the consultant or of Mr. Snyder. Are you going to present the game plan, or is Mr. Jabin? What?
I'll present, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Yeah. All right, thank you.
This has been a long and arduous process. If I take you back in time, we originally submitted permit to the Corps of Engineers and MDE back in June of 2020. And we received our approval from the Corps of Engineers for a timber bulkhead. And we were led to believe that MDE, after we filled out the appropriate waiver forms, would approve the timber bulkhead. So in March of 2022, while I still had not received MDE approval, we came before the Board of Port Wardens and presented our application for the replacements of E, F, and G piers. In March of 2022, the Board of Port Wardens approved our application, but we had not yet received MDE approval. Subsequent to that, MDE denied our application for a timber bulkhead. So we basically had to go back and redesign the shoreline work which is in an effort to stabilize the slopes that are badly eroding and incorporate the use of a stone revetment. So we now have MDE approval for the stone revetment. We've resubmitted to the Corps of Engineers, changing it from a timber bulkhead to a stone revetment. And that's why I'm here in front of you tonight, is to request approval for this application, changing it from a timber bulkhead that was approved in March of 2022 to now a stone revetment where we can stabilize the badly eroding vertical slopes that exist. And you're right, Mr. Chairman, it is removing the fixed piers and replacing them with floating piers. There's a net reduction of slips in a total quantity because the slips are getting wider as boats' designs are evolving. So all the piers and stuff are behind the harbor lines. There's no lateral line issues to speak of, and I've not heard of any objections from the community that have been alerted to me.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. It is quite a large project, which I think is great. The port wardens. Let me actually stop. Is there any other experts? Mr. Snyder, do you have any? Probably not.
I have nothing to add at this time.
Okay, great. Thanks. Carrie, refresh my memory on any, Mr. Biba, are you here in support or?
I have a comment.
Okay. Carrie, refresh my memory on comments, like public comments after the presentation. Does it happen after we ask our questions or before?
It's usually, it's really up to you. It's your discretion, but it probably makes the public hearing flow better if you allow everyone to testify, provide their comments, and then save the port warden's questions for anyone who has testified until after everyone has testified.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Even though I've only done this for a year, I'm still new at this, so I apologize to all. But Mr. Biba, if you can, I would love to hear your comments.
Okay, thank you. I'm Frank Biba. I live at 715 Springdale Avenue in the Parkwood community, which is directly opposite Pier G in the Jabin facility. I'm on the Community Association board, and I've conferred with the other board members, so I'm here representing them tonight. The only comment we have, I mean, we all use the marina ourselves, so the only comment we had was that there's currently a 5-foot setback of the outermost pilings from the harbor line. And we only ask that the new construction maintain that setback. And we're only addressing Pier G because that's one directly across from us.
Okay. I'm trying to get to Pier G. So as I'm sure you know, the harbor line doesn't necessarily have a setback. The setback tends to be the lateral line. As long as no vessel protrudes out into, in any way, the harbor line, then we can come right up, or an applicant can come right up to the harbor line.
And I'm aware of that.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I know you. So I don't know if I know it's not our place to tell an owner what they can do if they're within the rights, of all the Title 15 regulations.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
And I assume the Javens are aware of the length that they would be putting in there, and that they, it would, could potentially be enforced by the harbor master. But at this point, we go upon the concept that everyone knows the length of the vessel that they're allowed to put in the respective space. And so as long as it's drawn and of course built within that that parameter, then it's within that parameter as far as Title 15 goes. But let me go ahead and open up to any questions of any other port wardens. Anyone?
I have none.
Okay.
Nothing.
Jonathan?
So I noticed that you have existing reeds along that barrier, existing phragmites. Are you going to be disturbing those, and what kind of concerns are there about erosion?
Well, there's tons of concern about erosion on that bank. There are a lot of Phragmites and other invasive species there, but part of this project that is proposed with the stone revetment will stabilize that slope and bring the slope back so that it is going to be successful with vegetation growth and stabilization. We've done extensive studies on that, and working with MDE, they felt that that was the best solution to mitigate the vertical nature of the slopes and the erosion that's taken place predominantly over the last 10 or 15 years. But yes, erosion is primary, and some of those invasive species will be eradicated, and others will be mitigated and replanted.
Okay. And is there enough of a barrier with the gravel parking lot that sort of is right next to that
Right.
next to that?
What there is a small berm that exists that keeps the yard stone on the yard and not flowing over the bank. And that top of that hill is well vegetated and will remain well vegetated after the project.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the owner's best interest to make sure that hill is stable because of what's at the top of the hill. So I mean, it looks like if you get down towards pages 20 pretty much 20 through 25 or 26, it's all about the stabilization. And it looks like it's being done well. This is not my field of study, but it is. It looks like it's obviously being done for the sake of the hillside as well as bringing it a little bit back to natural from the Phragmites. So
I will also add that, and I mentioned this in a staff report, but they are going to be submitting a buffer management plan for disturbance to the critical area buffer. And part of that requirement will be to replant along that slope and behind that revetment. So that will add to the stabilization of that hill.
Okay. All right. Any other port warden questions? All right. Let me go ahead and declare the public hearing on Port 2023-00026 address closed.
Robert, sorry, I don't mean to cut it. I can't remember if you did this or not, but did you accept the application packet and the staff report into the record?
I believe I did. I can restate it. Brian, didn't I do it this time?
Yeah, I believe you did because you asked me about testimony.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right. Thank you. And thanks for the reminder, Carrie. I sometimes do move a little too fast on this. All right. As far as criteria set out by code, obviously, you're well within the setback, lateral setbacks. You're not protruding beyond the harbor line, which is 15/18/80. It's being constructed to the city code, it's not going to affect any additional public navigation or any wildlife issues, which is 15/16/30. So I think we are all set to send this to a motion. So I take a motion to approve or deny the application for warrant 2023-00026 Jabins Family Real Estate LLC, 7310 Edgewood Road.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Got it. Second, I'm going to give to Jared. Sorry, Hal, you'll get that. All right. All those in favor, please say aye or yes.
Aye.
Aye. All right. 5 unanimous. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you,
Have
Mr.
a
Chairman.
good evening. Have a good evening. Thanks. And we're going to move to the next application, which is, let me organize for 1 second because I have all these files open that all relate. So the next application is Port 2023-00027, and it's Port Annapolis Marina, 7074 Benby Beach Road, and it,
yeah, it should come up then.
what? All right, I'm sorry, I heard some background noise, bear with me. So again, it's to replace 460-foot long bulkhead and dredge in 2 areas, a total of approximately 24,674 square feet. Dock G is removed, 26 mooring pilings, construct and remove 26 mooring pilings and construct an 8 by, this is another one that is, I'll read it, but 8 by 40 pier extension includes 8-foot by 2 and 216-foot T head and 11 finger piers. Install 60 mooring piles and replace 10 existing mooring piles. Dock H and remove 41 mooring piles and construct. This is all again public record and in the application because it keeps going. Bear with me. Finger piers, install 8 boat lifts with 8 boat lift piles and 18 mooring piles. And Dock I, remove 23 mooring piles, construct 7 finger piers, and install 15 boat lifts and 16 boat lift piles. Let me go ahead and Madeline, if you can help bring in anyone who will be testifying.
I admitted everyone on my list. Scott,
Okay.
it looks like you have your camera like closed.
Close. Can you hear us though, or?
Well, we got to swear you in, so ideally we would see.
Are you on a laptop or like
A laptop, yeah.
Can you?
Does it have a slide cover?
No, it's fine.
Let me see if that is that. Oh,
there you
go. Okay.
Okay.
Jane, can they see you too? Or?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
Okay, great.
Let's go ahead and swear anyone who's going to be giving testimony tonight. Please raise your right hand. All right. You do solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury the testimony you are about to give to the Port Wardens is the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, thank you very much. As a preliminary matter, the board will accept into record the application packet and the staff report from planning and zoning, as well as any public comments. I want to confirm with Mr. Adams if there's any additional or existing public comments that we have received.
No public testimony received.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, the applicants, either the consultant or applicant, who is going to be presenting all these alterations?
I will, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, all right, thank you, Mr. Snyder. If you could say your name and just a little background, and then we'll move forward.
Yes, my name is Chris Snyder. I work for Waterfront Engineering Design. Our specialty is shoreline erosion control, piers, bulkheads. You guys see me quite often.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And if you could get started, that'd be great.
Wonderful. My internet is being a little bit glitchy, so if you need me to repeat anything, please let me know.
Okay.
All right. The applicant, Port Annapolis Associates at 7074 Benbay Beach Drive, Annapolis, Maryland, is seeking to modify the existing piers referred to as dock G, H, and I. The current existing piers occupy approximately 74 boat slips, while the proposed pier modifications occupy 69 boat slips. I will go through briefly go through each dock for reference. Regarding dock G, the applicant is proposing to remove the existing pier, finger piers, and associated 28 mooring piles. The pier is to be replaced with a 8-foot by 40-foot extension, which includes an 8-foot by 216-foot T-head with multiple finger piers. In addition, 10 existing mooring piles will be replaced with 16 new mooring piles. Dock H, the applicant is proposing to remove the existing 13 finger piers and associated 37 mooring piles, and to be replaced with multiple finger piers, as well as, oh, I heard background noise. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. Where's my point? In addition, 18 mooring piles, 8 boat lift piles, and 8 boat lifts will be installed. Dock I, the applicant is proposing to remove the existing 8 finger piers. Oh, did I already read that? Am I back through? No. Dock I, the applicant is proposing to remove 8 finger piers and associated 22 mooring piles. The finger piers will be replaced by 7 3-foot by 27-foot finger piers with 16 boat lift piles and 15 boat lifts. The applicant is also proposing to dredge 14,284 square feet to a depth of -7, totaling a total of 774 cubic yards of spoils. Although the proposed dredge area on the northern side extends beyond the lateral lines, this dredge area has been authorized under MDE permit number 14-GL-0085. This is considered necessary maintenance dredging to allow safe access to and from the slips. All proposed piers, finger piers, and any associated pilings are within the lateral lines, their setbacks, as well as the harbor line. Lastly, the applicants are proposing to replace approximately 460 linear feet of existing bulkhead. Currently, there is an existing bulkhead that is degrading. It only makes sense to replace this bulkhead while they're constructing the new pier. This is apparent by the rotting timber sheeting and sinkholes behind the bulkhead. The contractor will remove the existing bulkhead and replace it 18 inches channelward of the existing bulkhead to ensure a seamless transition, as well as reduce any potential erosion issues along the property line. We would like to note that the majority of the shoreline in this area is bulkhead as well. Please note the applicants are currently in the final phase of acquiring authorization for MDE and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Okay. I'm going to start with just a question about the location closest to the Jabin side. It appears, at least on the drawing, I'm looking for the dock number. I'm sorry, I got to zoom in quite a bit because I'm getting old. It appears that the dock itself, which is dock A, actually sits inside the setback. And again, we're not enforcement, but when I look at Google Earth, it looks like he's got a 22-foot beam catamaran on that end. And again, that was just an image from 23. I'm just curious, is that in fact over the setback? And I know you can sometimes be in the setback if you have permission of the actual written permission of the neighbor, but is dock A in fact across the setback line?
No, they have, again, everything's been authorized through MDE. I'm sure at this portion, because there's no associated work in the southern particular area, the harbor line just might be not out of date, but it just might have basically been drawn straight because there's no associated work there.
Okay, yeah, I'm not talking about the harbor line. I'm talking about the setback line, so that wouldn't be MDE either. If you look at page, and again, it's not, I don't think this is huge. It's not like, I don't even know who the neighbor would be. But it's the last page of the harbor line drawings, at least that I can see. It's dock
Okay,
A.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Do you
I
see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And again, if you look at Google Earth, it looks like it's actually gets used.
Okay. Okay, on this portion of the lateral line setback. I'm sure that's right outside of the lateral line setback, but what I can do is I can send you guys or I can send Brian exactly where that lateral line is on that portion. That might be a hair off just because that's not necessarily associated with where we're doing the work.
Right. And again, not to be terribly negative, but actually to be positive, there is a title, and I have to find it, that actually says if you get permission from a neighbor, it's okay to potentially cut into the setback, but it has to be written. So I just want to throw that out there that it is. But you know, otherwise, you know, I'm not seeing anything else that sort of stands out to me. Everything looks pretty clean with the harbor line, as far as not protruding into the harbor line, and everything, you know, as far as I don't see well, I gotta go. I'm sorry, I zoomed in too much. I didn't see really any other lateral line issue that popped up for me, except on the top side. I'm trying to, oh, that's the dredge area. So, and you had said that it was needed for navigation. That makes sense. That probably helps the neighbor. All right. Any other port wardens? Any other questions?
I'm looking at page 9. Is dock H between G dock and I dock here? Just want to confirm. I can't really tell in the photo. Seems like it would be, but
yeah, dock H is the pier in between G dock and the bulkhead. Okay. Right. Dock I is referred to as the finger piers along the bulkhead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Port wardens, any other questions? Okay. All right. The setback, again, it could just be the drawing. I don't have a massive objection because there really is no neighbor that you're cutting off. If anything, you're almost only cutting your access off because it doesn't look like there's any other private property docks or anything up in that area. I am not 100% sure, because of the lack of a neighbor, if prior to approval we have to get, Carrie, do you know what that that title number is about? Oh, here it is, 1518-100. The lateral line may be reduced if a letter of no objection is obtained from adjacent property owner and filed with port wardens. The mutual use of pier and mooring pod. So it is right there. It's 1518-100. Again, this is a stickler thing. I don't feel like it should, but I almost wonder if we should follow. Carrie, what's your thoughts?
My thoughts are, it's up to you guys as to what you want to do. There was you could sort of have options here, because if I heard correctly, Chris had offered to submit to Brian sort of the more, I don't want to say accurate because that implies that the current application is not accurate, but to give the more specific dimensions, if you will. And if you want to make a decision conditional on that submission to Brian and then introducing the public record after the fact, that's fine. I just, so I'm clear, I thought that part of it is not part of the application, or am I misunderstanding?
Well, it ends up becoming a non-conforming component that in theory is supposed to become conforming, correct?
Well, if it's part of the application that's before you, meaning it's part of the structure or is a structure that is being modified from a previously non-conforming use, then sure. But if it's something that may be a non-conforming use but isn't actually part of the application, then an argument could be made that it's not something that you guys.
Okay, great. And is there, Chris, is there any modifications being made to existing dock A?
No.
Okay, then let's treat it as existing and not part of the, and that's how I would go about doing it, but we'll put it up to the port wardens as well. I think you're fine there. It probably would be the city that's the neighbor anyway in the equation, but I agree with Carrie on that. If it's not being modified, I think we can make a decision that it's simply existing, and we should be fine with that. Okay, so
Question for the port wardens. On the where they're doing the dredging, it sort of passes through that lateral line into the neighbor's developable area. Is that a concern of ours or not?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
yeah, and quite frankly, it looks like, are you talking about on the top side, the north side?
Yeah, top side.
Yeah, that ends up, it ends up actually helping. Most likely they're gonna, it should actually help the neighbor navigation.
Beneficial to them.
Of course, yeah. But didn't know if there was a regulation on developing something like dredging on your neighbor's property.
No, I believe, Chris, you said you got permission from MDE for that.
Yeah. That was a previously authorized permit. So just so you guys know, for historical context, when we used to, when you used to have to submit the port warrant, say it was just for a dredge permit, you didn't have to submit lateral lines. That was primarily just for piers, because lines are depicting, right, your developable space, essentially, right? Dredging isn't considered developable because that's pretty much directly through the state. So say we were to submit a permit just for dredging, normally that's just under the authority of the Maryland Department of the Environment, because they have authorization. They're the ones that authorize any work just in the channel, not necessarily a structure, right?
Okay. All right. Great explanation. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay. Any more questions from port wardens? All right. After all the questions are asked, I declare the public hearing on Port 2024-0000. I'm sorry, Port 2023-00027, Port Annapolis Marina 7074 Benby Beach Road. As far as all the particular codes, you fall within it. That one line drawing with A, again, even though we discussed it, is not being worked on in any way, and there's really no neighbor in the equation. So I think otherwise you're well within the harbor line. Everything else seems absolutely appropriate, building, construction, everything. I'd entertain a motion to approve or decline Port 2023-00027, Port Warnings, Annapolis Marina. I'm sorry, Port Annapolis Marina, 7074 member Benby Beach Road.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved, Harold. Second.
Second.
All right, Jared, Mr. Lerner, thank you very much. All right, all those in favor of approving Port 2023-00027, Port Annapolis Marina, 7074 Benby Beach Road, please say aye or yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, great. All 5 port wardens unanimous. Thank you guys very much. Let's move on to the next, which is
Mr. Chairman.
yes. Thank you. Is someone asking a question? Okay. All right.
I think Mr. Tinkler is just saying thank you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't hear that. I apologize. All right. Next one will be, next on the agenda is Port 2024-0002. It's Jose Calderon, 607 Creekview Drive. and replace existing, replace 60 feet, linear feet of bulkhead, 18-inch channel ward of existing bulkhead. If you would give me 1 second just to pull up everything, because I've got too many. I want to pull up the actual drawing. And then I'm going to go ahead and Madeline, if you could bring all the people in who are part of this particular application. Is there, if I can, Mr. Calderon, before, I know that Mr. Fuentes is your neighbor because the address on the application. Is there any working together or crossover or any reason why it may make sense to present together, especially if Mr. Snyder is presenting and he's the actual engineer? So that we can do one hearing but 2 separate votes if it's actually conjoined, since you are neighbors. Mr. Calderon? Calderon, sorry. He keeps going to mute. Mr. Snyder, are you doing the engineering for both the gentlemen?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and make an executive call and bring Mr. Fuentes in, just so we can swear everyone in. Again, we're all looking effectively at the same exact map. As long as Mr. Calderon has no objection to Mr. Fuentes and we can do the presentation, Mr. Schneider can do the presentation at the same time, because to me it looks like they're sort of similar and right next to each other. Are you okay with that, Mr. Calderon? Just give me a thumbs up. Sorry, your sound doesn't function.
You're on mute.
Yep.
Are you okay if we bring in Mr. Fuentes, since you guys are neighbors using the same engineer and very similar? Okay, Madeline, can you invite Mr. Fuentes in?
Yes, Jose, I'm sending a prompt to your screen. It says promote to panelist. You need to click accept and then you'll be able to turn your audio and video on. There we go.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right, if you are going to get sworn in, we do need to see a picture of you and obviously hear your sound. Although if Mr. Calderon's having mic problems, you could just put your hand up. We would vote on these separately, but since the engineering and everything in the drawings are close to each other, I do want to bring up both drawings simultaneously for myself. But so let me go ahead and I'm going to end up for first, let me do the swear in. So anyone planning to testify with both these matters, the port 2024-0002 and 0003, please right hand up. And and here we go. You do solemnly swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give the Port Wardens is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you very much. All right, thank you very much. Let me go ahead and for both these matters, all right, as a preliminary matter, the board will accept the record of both applicant packets and both staff reports from planning and zoning and any public comments. Mr. Anderson, are there any public comments?
Mr. Adams.
Mr. Adams, sorry. Anderson.
Sorry.
Yes, Mr. Adams.
It's getting late. No, yes, actually, we had written testimony from Mr. William Chapman at 605A Creekview, and he was in support of both of these projects.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead. And I guess, Mr. Snyder, if you would start with 607, and then if there's, go into 609, and that would be great. Are all Port Wardens okay with me doing these simultaneously?
No objection.
No objection.
Okay, good. All right. Thank you very much. All right. Mr. Snyder.
Yes, the applicants at 607 Creekview Avenue Annapolis, Maryland, are seeking the approval for the reconstruction of roughly 60 linear feet of timber bulkhead along the shoreline of Bat Creek. There's an existing bulkhead that is currently degrading and falling apart. This is apparent by the rotting timbers, sinkholes behind the bulkhead. The bulkhead is not reconstructed. Inevitably, it will begin to fail. The contractor will remove the existing bulkhead and replace 18 inches channelward of the existing bulkhead to ensure a easy transition into the property lines. We have already received authorization from the Maryland Department of the Environment and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for both 607 and 609. At 609 Creekview Avenue, we are proposing to reconstruct roughly 61 linear feet of timber bulkhead.
Okay. The Port Wardens, do you have any questions?
No.
No.
Any anomalies? No issues? Okay. I honestly it looks very clean to me as far as all the title. But we'll get into the statutory stuff after we close. No questions from any Port Wardens. Thank you. Neither do I. So basically, with no questions, I'd like to declare the public hearing on Port 2024 -0002 closed. All right, let's vote on that first, and then we'll close on 0003. Okay, so at this point, like I said, everything, the setback is fine. 15, 18, 80, 15, 18, 100. The lateral lines are fine. It's everything seems fine as far as the construction. It's been approved by the city. So I would like to, I'll entertain a motion to approve. And again, this is only the first one, 607. I will entertain a motion to approve or deny the application for Port 2024-0002, Jose Calderon, 607 Creekview Drive.
I'll make that motion to approve.
All right, Mr. Anderson,
Second.
thank you. All right, Mr. Siegel, thank you very much. Got a second? All right, all those in favor, please say aye or yes.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that was unanimous. Thank you very much. Obviously, the motion passes. All right, and now let's do Port 24-003 Jose Fuentes -609 Creekview Drive. We've obviously done all the other stuff. Public record we've already accepted. We're now down to, again, it fits within all of our title that we're responsible for, whether it's harbor line setbacks, the construction, everything is fine there as far as we all see, at least that so far said. So I will entertain a motion to approve or deny the application for Jose Fuentes, 609 Creekview Drive. Can I get a motion? All right, Mr. Siegel, thank you very much. Can I get a second?
Second the motion.
All right, Mr. McCott, thank you very much. All right. Obviously the motion passes. Thank you guys very much. And we can, I had a note, repeat. Okay. Miscellany elements. Miscellany, is there anything for the good order, for the good of the order? All right.
On that last one, did we just second it and not vote, or did we vote?
We haven't voted yet. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I apologize. All right. So it was, so we have a motion, and that was Mr. Anderson. We had a second, Mr. Siegel. I'm sorry, I am moving a little too fast. All right, all those in favor of approving Port 2024-003, 609 Creekview Drive, please say aye or yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, thank you very much. I apologize, but it's unanimous. Thank you guys very much. And let's get moving to the next section.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. All right. Is there anything else for the good of the order? Okay.
Congratulations, Mr. Chairman, for another year.
I don't know about that. I mean, after this meeting, you may want to get rid of me. All right. And so adjournment, there being no other items on the agenda, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
I'll make
adjourn.
that motion to
All right,
adjourn.
Mr. McCobb, we got the second,
Yep.
Scott Anderson. All right. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Hearing no opposition, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you guys very much, especially the Annapolis staff.